Hi there, Dr. Debbie Silber here, founder and CEO of the PBT Post Betrayal Transformation Institute. And I wanted to come to you live today because we're at a turning point in how betrayal is understood. And there are so many incredible coaches and practitioners working with clients through betrayal, even though they don't, it's very likely the client hasn't even come to them for betrayal, but it's impacting how they show up. It's impacting the great work that they're doing. So I want to just give you a brief overview of why betrayal clients are starting from a different point, and when you know that, you help them in a much different way, and you can work with them so much more effectively. So I don't study betrayal because I like the topic. I had my own painful betrayals, and because of that, I needed to sort of get out of this mess. I had 4 kids and 6 dogs and a practice, and I had to show up for my kids and my clients and myself. So I couldn't find anything to help me heal. So I enrolled in a PhD program, and it was in transpersonal psychology. And I did that to study betrayal. What holds us back? What helps us heal? And what happens to us physically, mentally, and emotionally when the people closest to us lie, cheat, and deceive? Well, that study led to 3 discoveries, which changed my health, my family, my work, my life. So briefly, and I'm sharing these because I want you to see, if you have experienced betrayal, you're not crazy, you're not alone, and you can heal from all of it. And if you're a coach or practitioner, I want you to understand that your clients are, like I said, coming from a very different starting place. So the first discovery was betrayal is a different type of trauma that needs a different way to heal. And if you've been through it, you know that. And you're wondering, like, why is it that maybe you've experienced death of a loved one, or you've experienced disease or natural disaster, and betrayal felt different for you? That's because it is. With those other experiences, think about it. Let's say death of a loved one. You grieve, you're sad, you mourn the loss. Life will never be the same. But you don't necessarily question that relationship. You don't question your ability to trust. You don't question your sanity. With betrayal, you do. So that betrayal is a different type of trauma. That it's really important to understand. And here's where you can go to the most well-meaning, amazing coaches and practitioners, and they may be trained in, well, trauma is trauma. No, it's not, because the invitation with other traumas, let's say, is to rebuild life, right? Rebuild what was shattered. With betrayal, not only do you have to rebuild life as you've known it, you have to rebuild the self, because that was shattered too. And so many amazing, well-meaning coaches and practitioners, let's say with trust, there's a complete and total shattering of trust with betrayal. And so often, let's say a coach will say, well, you know what, let's start small with small stakes. Learn, just share something with a friend or with someone to learn how to trust again. But that's actually the last place we need to learn how to rebuild trust, because think about it. The way we decide someone is trustworthy, we have our own system. And after, let's say, a certain amount of experiences where someone shows that they're trustworthy, we discern, I can now say that this person is trustworthy. And our measurement system, whatever that was, has decided this is what trust looks like. And I can understand and I can believe that this person is safe. So when that person betrays us, it's not just an outside experience, because now we're looking at it saying, my measurement of discerning trust is fundamentally flawed. It's broken. The whole thing is broken. Do you see? So it's a very different experience. How do we even know if the goal is to decide if someone is trustworthy? Our measurement system of understanding what trustworthiness looks like has been completely shattered. That has to be built first. So these are the kinds of things that again, coaches and practitioners haven't been taught. So if you're struggling, this is one of the reasons why you're struggling with trust. The second discovery, there's actually a collection of symptoms, physical, mental, and emotional, so common to betrayal, it's now known as post-betrayal syndrome. Now, we've had over 100,000 people take our post-betrayal syndrome assessment to see to what extent they're struggling. And here's what's so interesting. First of all, we've all heard the beautiful sentiment, time heals all wounds, right? Well, I have the proof that when it comes to betrayal, that's not true. There's a question on the assessment that says, is there anything else you'd like to share? And people write things like, my betrayal happened 35 years ago, I'll never trust again. My betrayal happened 15 years ago, feels like it happened yesterday. So we know that we cannot count on time. We can't even count on a new relationship to heal it. Healing needs to be deliberate and intentional. So if you're counting on time and you're wondering, why am I still struggling physically, mentally, and emotionally? It's because betrayal is one of those experiences that does not heal just on its own. It needs a way to heal, a predictable plan to heal through it. The good news is there is one. So, for example, and I can share some of the statistics that you may be going to the most well meaning doctors, coaches, healers, therapists to manage these symptoms, but at the root of it is an unhealed betrayal. So, like some of the most common symptoms. This is out of over 100,000 people. 71% have low energy, 47% have weight changes. In the beginning, you can't hold food down. Later on, you're using food for comfort. 45% have a digestive issue. So let's just say, for example, you go to the most well meaning gut expert. They're incredible in their field. But if they don't know there's a betrayal at the root of the reason why you got this gut issue in the first place, you will be put on the most beautiful protocols and medicines and remedies and foods and supplements and all the things. But meanwhile, what's causing that experience is the betrayal. So when we know what's at the root of it, we can heal from the root. Here's the thing too, with symptoms of post-betrayal syndrome. This could be from something that happened, decades ago. And like I said, time doesn't heal it. So imagine this. Imagine your parent who did something awful when you were a kid, or a partner who broke your heart in high school. That person may not know, care, remember, they may not even be alive. And here we are decades later with symptoms because of something that was left unhealed. The good news is you can heal from all of it, which was the third discovery. And that's that while we can stay stuck for years, decades, a lifetime, and so many of us do, if we're going to fully heal, we will move through 5 proven predictable stages. And what's even more exciting about that is we now know what happens physically, mentally, and emotionally at every stage. And we know what it takes to move from one stage to the next. Healing's entirely predictable. And when coaches and practitioners understand what these 5 stages are, then they can see, oh, I get it. I'm using these amazing, let's say, mindset tools. But if that client is in stage 2, shock, trauma, D-Day, discovery day, their great tools don't land. If the client is in a rebuilding, later on in the stages, let's say a stage 4, and they're doing, let's say, nervous system regulation work, which is very important, it's not as effective then. That's what they need in stage 2, you see? So all of these tools need to be stage appropriate. Anyway, that's why I wrote my latest book, Unstuck, which just came out. It's going to be, we're in pre-release right now. And it's to change that conversation because very often the client will assume, well, it happened years ago, for sure, I'm over it. And that has nothing to do with my results now. So let's say a well-meaning business coach, and the client comes to you, you're a well-meaning business coach, the client comes to you for confidence, right? And they're like, I need to really, crush it in my work. I'm in sales, let's just say, and my confidence is down, so I can't sell. So they come to you for confidence. But meanwhile, if you learn that confidence was shattered because of a betrayal, even if it happened years ago, it's a very different conversation. So now what you're doing is you're rebuilding at the root, at the root cause, instead of sort of hacking away at the leaves. And just briefly, this is how it shows up in our work, in our health, in our relationships. So in our relationships, an unhealed betrayal is going to show up in 2 ways. The first way is in repeat betrayals. The most classic sign of an unhealed betrayal is a repeat betrayal. The faces change, but it's the same thing. So we go from boss to boss to boss, friend to friend to friend, partner to partner to partner. And we're saying, is it me? Yes, it is. Never in that it's your fault, but in that it's your opportunity. There's a profound lesson needing to be learned. And unless you get that, you're going to have opportunities in the form of people to teach you. We're going to see it at work. right? Where let's say you deserve that raise or promotion, but your confidence was shattered in the betrayal. So you don't have the confidence to ask, or trust was shattered. So how do you trust that boss, that coworker, that collaborative partner? The person you trusted the most proved untrustworthy, you see? So, or we see it in health. You go to amazing, well-meaning, doctors, therapists, healers to manage a stress-related symptom, illness, condition, disease, and at the root of it is an unhealed betrayal. So I'm sharing all of this because if you've been betrayed and you're wondering, like, why am I just fine? I just want to leave you with this one. Fine is actually stage 3. So many coaches and practitioners, when your clients come to you and they're like, I'm fine, and like I'm good, it is the most classic stage 3 sign. And what's happening is in stage 3, they're living a functional life. They're able to work, they're able to manage their kids, they're able to do the things. But transformation doesn't even begin until stage 4. So very often as a coach or practitioner, you hear your client is fine and the work is done. And meanwhile, you're missing out, first of all, on working with that client more, through their transformation, the income that goes with it as well. But the greatest and most fulfilling part of the work, because when you leave them at fine, they're functioning, but it's flat. They haven't transformed. So when you understand the language that goes along with each stage as well, you're able to take them through that transformation. And then you recognize, oh, wow, they're only in stage 3. And this is the conversation I need to have with them to gently invite them into stages 4 and 5, where transformation begins. So sharing all of this because we do not talk about betrayal enough. It happens, but we struggle and suffer in silence. And if you're a practitioner, these are likely your most resistant clients. And you may dread when they come your way because you're throwing stuff at the wall. You're not sure what sticks. They're exhibiting certain, let's say, behaviors, like maybe they're just resistant. They seem resistant, or they seem untrusting. Rightly so, right? The person they trusted the most proved untrustworthy. So betrayal clients will present in a certain way. Unknowingly, you're looking at them, as, wow, they're so resistant, or why is it they were doing so great? Why did they have that setback? They're not starting from the same place. Anyway, I talk all about it in Unstuck, which you could go to. The PBT is in post betrayal transformation, thepbtinstitute.com/unstuck, because we're in pre-launch now with all kinds of amazing bonuses and things. And once the book is launches March 22nd, then the bonuses are gone. So hopefully this serves. Hopefully you realize, wow, you know what? I've had those resistant clients. Maybe they are struggling with an unhealed betrayal, even if it happened years ago. Or maybe, they're telling me they're fine, and maybe there's a lot more that we can do together, where fine now becomes the starting place. So I hope this helped. And I'm going to be checking back to see how I can really share the information of what a betrayal looks like, what's required to heal, so you have your great tools and they just work so much better. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you next time.